right. Yeah. Right.
That's the temple that I became a monk. He
Very
passed away
nice.
over 60 years ago.
Mhm.
I didn't have chance to see him.
All right.
He was one of the great meditation masters in Thailand. You may have heard the practice called crystal, concentrating on a crystal, meditating by concentrating on a crystal, visualizing the crystal and meditating on that. So
Good
today,
evening, Ashan.
good
Good
evening,
evening.
David. Oh, okay. David also managed to join a little early, as he was saying that maybe a little late. Good. So now we have Bhante also joined here now. Bhante, okay. So good evening, everyone. Today is our last session, but not in the list, okay? And we expect other sessions in the future, as well as with the Bhante as well. Now, further ado, I pass this to Bhante for this session.
Thank you very much, and apologies for my late arrival. So we'll start as usual with the sitting, and then first we do refuges and precepts. You don't do I don't think I need to put the refuges and precepts up, do I? Do I need to put it up? No.
It's helpful.
Is it? Okay. Let me just see if I can. Home. Oh dear. My computer's been playing up a little, unfortunately.
That's fine, actually. That's fine, Dad. Sorry, actually. I said that.
Well, should have it very shortly. There we go. Okay. I'll share the screen with you. Okay. So we can start, yeah. Bodhang Pujami
Dhammam
Dhammang Pujami Sangang Pujami. It's better if you knock your sound off. It sounds like a load of cats. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato harahato samma sambuddhassa. Bodhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi bodhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi bodhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. I can just go down a bit. Panati pata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumi chachara veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Sura mereya majjapamadhatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Tisaranena saha panchasilam sadhukang katva apamadena sampadetam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Having taken the refuges and precepts, the final words of the Buddha, strive diligently for your liberation. So we can sit for a while. A moment's reflection. Resolution. Or the practice of loving kindness, metta bhavana. So again, the blessings that I use, they're pretty traditional. May you be safe, well, and happy. May you live contented, in harmony with the world. So remember, there are two parts, the will and the emotional value, the loving kindness we put to it. So don't worry if you don't feel particularly loving and kind. As long as you're making these intentions, they are creating an attitude of goodwill. Can we bring to mind somebody who's helped us in our lives? May you be safe, well, and happy. May you live contented in harmony with the world. Bring to mind those who are near and dear to us. Friends, people at work, whomever we wish. Bringing to mind a neutral person, someone we see but don't know. Turning the stream of goodwill towards ourselves. Into the heart of goodwill, anyone we're having difficulties with. Radiating outwardly, first of all, to each other, our present spiritual companions. May we radiating outwardly to all our neighbors and neighborhood. To all the people in our country. All the peoples of Europe or the Americas. All people on earth. And to all beings in all directions. May all beings be happy. Sabe sata sukita hontu. Sabe sata sukita hontu. Sabe sata sukita hontu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to cheat again and just play a recording, and then we'll see how the questions go. Let me just bring it up 1 second. Namo tassa. Okay, here we go. Okay. Tell me if you can hear it, yeah? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yeah. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha, the blessed, noble, and fully self-awakened one. So I've chosen this topic of love and relationship. Well, as you know, huge amounts of literature are written on love from philosophers, psychotherapists, self-helpers,
all religions. So I don't think I'll be covering everything, but I just want to mention one of, a few of the essentials really. So this is just love in general. It's not specific. I'm not going to talk about parental love or falling in love, all that sort of stuff. So I think the first thing that always I find important is just this sense of care. Love is a little bit abused, the word love itself. But it's just understanding that interconnectedness we have. And it's funny that, with COVID and all that, a lot of people rediscovered neighborliness. And I think this is really part of this neoliberal thing, So most people think of neoliberalism as a operating system, an economic operating system based on the market. But actually it's an ideology, It's on the understanding that everything moves if everybody can just be an entrepreneurial individual. And what it does is it excites my greed to get things and have experience, to get lots of money. And by doing that, of course, I see you as a competitor. So this is the system we're in. We're in a system that, supports greed and competitiveness. It's not about coordination. It's not about interconnectedness. And I think this manifests clearly now with this COVID, because, the rich countries, just like individuals, are just looking after themselves and to hell with everybody else. But unfortunately, the interconnectedness is biting back. And I'm hoping that it has some effect on the actual system that we're under at the moment. But just that sense of caring for somebody, I'm not talking about people who are sick or need help, but just a general attitude of looking after people, being aware of their needs, no matter what it is, caring for them. I think that's a really sort of important part of that whole syndrome that we call love. And if we don't do that, if we don't have that sort of attitude, then I think we can shade off into controlling people, using them, Well, I mean, abuse is at the far end, but you can also just use people, just for your own benefit. Sort of a presumption that they will help you, but you don't have to help them. So I think that sort of really undermines a relationship when a person finds that they've been used, I think the other thing is a sort of kindness expressed through a certain affection. We manifest that with hugging and holding hands and hand on heart, tone of voice, all that sort of stuff. I mean, the danger is it sort of becomes a bit mawkish, a bit sentimental, huggy-wuggy, touchy-feely stuff. But I think it's important that there's a sort of expression of affection. And I don't know about you, but, when I remember acts of unkindness that I've committed, there's always a sort of bitter sorrow that goes with it, How could I have behaved like that, And all that really just depends on this sense of being kind. It's a lovely word, kind. And when we put these two together and we wonder about how to live with other people, sharing spaces, whether it's intimate or just in an office, doesn't really matter. And there's this occasion in the scriptures where the Buddha comes across three arahats living together. I think they're named, I was trying to find it, I just couldn't find the passage, but I think they're called the Anuruddhas after the chief monk who was with them. And he asked them, how do they live so peacefully together? And he says, well, when I get up in the morning, I say to myself, what if I put aside what I want to do and do what the others want to do? And of course, if everybody says that, then you have this wonderful harmony. But if you're the only one who's saying it, then you'll probably get used. So it's a case of, you know, if you're with somebody, it doesn't matter where it is, as I say, the office or an intimate, just to get that feeling in the group that you're prepared to put aside what you want to do for what somebody else wants to do if it's more beneficial. Huh? I mean, it could even happen sort of on holiday, you know, where you've decided to go here and somebody else has decided to go there. And there's a big rumpus over which one to do, you know, but that doesn't necessarily have to happen if people have the attitude of putting aside what they want. In other words, you know, not being attached to what one wants to do. It's a lovely attitude. But I think underpinning all relationship actually are these two qualities of gratitude and forgiveness. I mean, if you're, you know, if we develop this constant sense of gratitude, of being in debt, of wanting to manifest how much we appreciate what's been given to us. I mean, there's always that desire to, you know, to help, to communicate, to be with somebody in that sort of grateful way. And you can't have a relationship which at some point isn't going to hurt. You know, they're going to say something or do something which is going to upset you. And if you can't let go of that, if that sort of grudge stays within us, a sense of resentment, then that really undermines the relationship. It comes out just in the way we speak and in how we ask them to do things. It's there within our communication. And I think that's really important. And I would have thought that most relationships begin to collapse when one or the other side, you know, just holds on to these grudges, these resentments. I remember somebody telling me, who was a lawyer for family cases, and there was a divorce. It was quite bitter. And he kept saying to the husband, there's no point in going to court for this, because you will lose. It'll be a complete waste of time for you to go to court and get all this out in court, because you will lose the case, you know. So he tried to get it across them, but he wanted to go to court. He wanted somewhere where he could, you know, spleen all over the place. And that's the sort of anger and the bitterness that can come with holding on to resentments. Just, you know, there's a lovely, I read something quite lovely about this journalist. She'd gone down in America. She'd gone down to see how dolphins are trained. And what she saw was that whenever a dolphin didn't jump through the hoop or play the trick or failed to do the trick, nothing was said, absolutely nothing. And then they sort of did the usual routine, and the dolphin would complete the trick. When the dolphin completed the trick, the trainers jumped up and down with great joy, shouting and whooping and making all sorts of great noises. So she thought, well, I wonder if this would work on my husband. So when she went back home, she never criticized him. She never said anything. But every time he did something that pleased her, or he did something the way she wanted him to do, she would jump up and down with great joy and blow trumpets. and he changed completely without knowing it. You know, it was very harmonious. And then, of course, he went and told her. She went and told him. And so he found that also worked, even if it's a consciousness, even if it's a conscious thing, that the other person knows what you're doing, it actually works. So holding back on criticisms and all that sort of stuff, and really rejoicing when the person does something which is to your benefit, seems to be the trick, really, of getting people to do what you want them to do. And the final thing is, of course, our spiritual well-being. I mean, obviously, if you're living with somebody who's on your path, then that's a tremendous sort of boost, isn't it? I mean, I've known people who've taken to the Buddhist path, but their partner really just doesn't like it. The spouse doesn't like it. And it's been a point of contention. But if you happen to be living with somebody who's actually practicing with you, it's obviously a massive support, you know. And it's the same with any friendship that does it. And just to sort of end with this lovely quote from the Buddha. So he's Ananda, who was with him for the last 20 years of his life as a personal assistant. He always thinks he knows a bit more than he actually does. And on this occasion, he said to the Buddha, Bhagava, this is half the spiritual life: good friendship, good companionship, and good comradeship. And the Buddha says, oh, not so, Ananda, not so. This is the entire spiritual life. That is good friendship, good companionship, and good comradeship. For when someone has a good friend, a good companion, and a good comrade, it is to be expected they will develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path. So that was his understanding of what friendship was, you know, good friendship. And of course, if we remember, he was with his 5 friends when, you know, he left them. They all thought he'd gone soft, remember. He was practicing this asceticism, which was basically not eating, letting go of the body, you know. And he was with 5 friends, 5 close friends who were all practicing together. And we all know that, you know, practicing with people in a group is so much more encouraging than doing it by yourself. So all these points, I mean, there's a lot more, of course, I'm sure that you could think of them, but just, you know, bringing to mind that sense of care, affection and kindness, especially kindness. I don't know, it's a big thing with me, that. These underlying attitudes of gratitude and forgiveness. And then finally, just that ability to be with somebody without, open to their ideas, to their understandings, even in conversation. What if I put aside my ideas, you know, my views, my opinions, and open up to what the other one has to say? So often we don't like to do that because they might change our minds. So it's a case of, you know, looking at at our relationships from this point of view of being with another human being who's like us. So I'm a human being and you're a human being, and just remembering that. And that, I think, produces for us that sort of relationship of kindness and care. Very good. So I can only hope my words have been of some assistance, that I have not caused any confusion, and that you will, by your practice of loving kindness, be fully liberated sooner rather than later.
I just want to reinforce something that was said there, and that is that quality of metta. Metta refers to an attitude which is rising above anything which is to do with like and dislike. So it doesn't matter when you think of somebody like President Putin or President Trump, you might have all sorts of negative reactions to that and whatever. But what love does is you still see them as a full human being, a total person. And they may have come off what we would consider to be the straight and narrow, but by seeing them as a person, when you bring them to mind, you can talk to them in a way that allows you to develop towards them a sense of care. Remember that all evil, what we call evil, is really just a twisted or very narrowed sense of love. So here we have both of these men just love their country, and they have an idea of what their country should be, and they're putting that above everything else and all the other ideas of what their country might be, of their own country people. But we still have to see them as full, complete human persons, and our attitude towards them is one of care. And that's what metta is. And that's why it says in the discourse to spread this metta without ill will, without hatred, without anything of that nature. And that actually does us good, because it stops us getting angry, frustrated, bitter, and all that inside us. And it is transformative, because just take, for instance, if instead of these European leaders approaching Putin as if he was the arch enemy, the devil, the evil one, and actually approached him as rationally as they could with a sense of kindness, there's a possibility that he might open up, right? We don't want to be made stupid by that, right? We've got to be aware that he does have his own agenda, but it does allow for some sort of communication, which is going to open up possibilities. But so long as we approach him with that sense of fear, right? That's what the basis is, the fear. And because of fear, we have that fight reaction. Then, of course, it produces a barrier, and it's very difficult to stop that growing into something worse. So this is where the Buddha is talking. When he's talking about metta, he's talking about this attitude of being open, even to people whom we recognize as being really off the path. They've got some weird agenda. So that's the distinction we have to make. That's not the same as the love that we feel, say, a mother towards their as lovers towards each other, or as friends. The Buddha uses the image of a mother towards a child, towards a baby, right? Towards a very young child. That mother is treating that little baby as a full person. And by treating the baby as a full person, it begins to react to that love. If the baby doesn't get that sense of personhood, they have problems for the rest of their lives. I know somebody whose mother went into postpartum depression, and was given to her grandmother. And her grandmother seemingly really didn't want to take care of her daughter's babies. And she has, big problems about herself, about self-worth, about her own self-confidence. And it all comes from that lack of real acceptance right from the beginning of our lives as a full person. So that's what metta is really concerned with. Yeah. I wonder if there's any questions or clarifications.
Bhante, can I ask you a small question?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said when doing loving kindness meditation, you said bring someone who has helped you in the past. What happens if that person has passed away? Can we still send love and kindness?
Well, if you have a sense of that person, in another realm, etc., then I don't have a problem with that. I still send my goodwill to my mother, and she's up there somewhere.
Yeah.
The thing is, if it brings sorrow to the mind, then of course it's that's something else.
No, I was just thinking of the Tibetan tradition of doing power practice. In power practice, they do the same, Bhante.
Yeah.
So we can do the same in Theravada also with the loving kindness meditation.
Yeah, there's absolutely no problem. The only warning is that if you think of
Yeah.
somebody and it makes you sad,
Yeah.
then perhaps you have to deal with that first and accept the situation,
Yeah.
and then you can send them.
Yeah.
But you can still offer them,
Thank
of
you.
course, goodwill. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you very much,
You-
Bhante. You answer so many questions I put to you in the email. Maybe I will write again if I have any more questions.
Yes, you're very welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can send your goodwill to people that you know of, that you think have gone to hell.
I will do that as well. Yes, thank you.
Okay, anyone? Anybody? David, unmute yourself.
Jean, good evening, and Bhante, and thank you for your practice and teaching, and also for what you have online. In particular, can I say, I found the sequence of 5 teachings on meditation very helpful, and I'll certainly be sharing them with others. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I noticed on your website, with reference to the various retreats, that you mention that these retreats are also helpful for beginners.
Yeah.
And of course, in my understanding, one has to develop a certain level of stability in the mind before one can progress naturally to Vipassana meditation. Am I right that you see this as something that can be combined rather than spending too long developing calm abiding meditation?
Well, there is that tradition of samatha, calmness, and then vipassana. But the Mahasi tradition is specifically pure vipassana. And the technique, the noting technique, going slow, going as slow as you can, have the effect of helping you to get that focus, that calm focus, which you need for vipassana. So it's a vipassana direct practice.
And you find that beginners are able to cope with that?
Well, I coped with it. I coped with it, and I got through the test. Yeah, no, that's you come and you work at your own pace. You just very slowly. You over the week. Well, it just happens, because of the atmosphere, the people around you, etc., etc. Yeah.
Okay. And can I just ask, in connection with that, in other settings where I've been sharing mindfulness meditation practice with other groups, both as a practitioner and also just sharing, the question keeps coming up that so many people feel isolated in their practice because they don't have access to a regular teacher, because most of our centers are in the cities, and if you live too far out of one of the cities, it's difficult to get access other than on the internet. Do you have any particular advice for people who find themselves in that position?
It is a difficult one, but one of the blessings of COVID was, in fact, this the Zoom took off. And I do quite a bit of work on Zoom for people coming from all over the place, really. And I mean, we have a little group that meets together. We used to meet here, but COVID put an end to that because of Zoom. And what they do now is every Thursday they meet on Zoom, they sit together, they have a little discussion together, and every so often they meet in person. So it's better than before that, because then you were really isolated. So, you know. In fact, I don't know whether you know this, but virtually every centre has not returned back to pre-COVID numbers. We haven't. Yeah, we did at first, but then it began to drop. And one of the reasons is that people are more and more satisfied with working on Zoom. During COVID, I used to run courses on Zoom, you know, where people were at home sitting 1 hour and walking or stuff like that. And that was fairly successful for people. But from a centre point of view, it's not very good, because it starts to empty, you know, you're left with an empty building.
Yes. And is it your view that going so much to online, one loses a certain quality from the teacher practitioner point of view?
There's nothing to actually equate to a face-to-face meeting. I mean, we know that, you know. I mean, if we were all sitting in a room, it would be quite a different meeting. There'd be a real connection between people. This is pretty good, actually, but it's not the same as a direct in-person connection. And when you're on retreat with people, you are actually picking up on their energy. It's a communal energy, you know.
Yeah.
And that's more difficult to get. In fact, it's not really possible to get if you're doing a retreat online. Well, having said that, if everybody comes online to sit, you do get that sense of community a bit. But again, it doesn't have the power of personal, you know.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else wants to ask? This is our last session with Bhante for this session, obviously. All right. So in that case, if nobody is asking,
Bhante, just one question. Bhante,
okay.
one more. Bhante, do you still go to Gaya House, Bhante?
Yes, I teach there a weekend.
Oh, I see. I was just thinking, Arjun lives quite nearby.
Who?
Gaya House is in Newton Abbot.
Yes.
So it's not very far from you.
Yes.
He's always asking for longer retreat, so maybe he can drop to Gaya House and do the longer retreat.
Well, I only teach a weekend there.
Yeah. Oh, you are mute.
I'm not mute.
Arjun, you have to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, but Arjun,
Arjun.
Yeah, sorry, here. Yeah, I live very close to Gaya House.
Okay.
I live in Toki, and Newton Abbot is only 6 miles away.
Yes, I know it. Well,
so
you're
you can
very
go
welcome.
there. You can go there weekend.
Yes, you can go there.
So how can I find out when you are there? From the Gaya House?
Gaya House website.
All right.
I mean, I can tell you when it is. It's in the second weekend of May.
Second weekend of May. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
how do we access your website?
Satipanya. Satipanya.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll just put it in the chat line just in case. Sati, you know Sati?
And
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Okay. So, on behalf of the Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, and all the participants, and also me personally, would like to sincerely express our appreciation and gratitude to Bhante for your invaluable time, kindness, and patience in guiding the meditation sessions throughout this 8 week. Yeah, I must express.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. And I'd like to express my gratitude also for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And then also, although this 8 week session has ended, but we hope that you will continue give us this opportunity to come and learn. We will receive your continuous kindness to grow in this path in the future as well. And obviously, all the participants, although this session ends with the Bhante, doesn't mean that our practice ends. So, in fact, it's just the beginning. It's like you have just passed the driving test. So it's not the end, just a new beginning. So in the meantime, if you are considering having a serious meditation retreat and could not find anywhere, don't worry. You can contact Bhante. You won't be disappointed at all. In the meantime, if you can't, then there are online talks by Bhante on YouTube as well as on the Satipanya website, which it's accessible at any time. So do not hesitate to click in and spend some time to listen on Bhante's different aspects of the teachings and guided meditation. And also, obviously, you may have received the email that I sent today regarding offering a dana direct to Bhante. You can do so if you wish to, in a recognition of his time and kindness and teachings. Also, just a reminder that in the future we will be having Bhante again, so keep an eye so that we can have more engagement and a practice, and make sure that you have developed your meditation so that we won't be disappointing Bhante when we see in next time. So meantime, I would like to invite you all to express our appreciation to Bhante by prostrating. So let's pay respect to the Bhante together. Yeah. So prostrating. Sadhu. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
So thank you very much, Bhante, and I wish you have a good health, and looking forward to having a next one with you soon, both online and as well as in person in Aberdeen.
Yes, thank you very much. Peace and joy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
your
you.
time
Thank you.
and energy joining and participating in this practice. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.